world's biggest uncertainty. Might not bring manufacturing jobs back to America, yet it shakes the lives of hundreds of millions elsewhere in the world. How are Chinese businesses taking the hit? More importantly, how are they finding their way out? I have been traveling to China's business and manufacturing hubs, talking to many shop assistants, robot technicians, leading multi-channel network stars, and global textile gurus, amazed at how they are reinventing themselves out of the crisis into new horizons. Survive and thrive, preparing for a better world. Hello and welcome to Survive and Thrive, a special series focusing on how China's private sector is not only dealing with tariff war-driven uncertainties, but also turning challenges into great opportunities with consensus and smart solutions toward bigger business horizons. Today in Shanghai, meet a woman who runs one of the world's largest garment makers, which churns out more than 110 million cotton shirts a year.
So I always tell people, your legacy can always be passed through daughters.
Yeah.
Here's a case. This is my great-grandfather on my maternal side,
Okay.
Mr. Mo.
Yeah.
And then here, so this is not a Yang family tree.
No.
But this is my grandmother and her husband, who is
Right.
Mr. Tai. And so my mother is here.
Right here.
And my
okay.
father.
Wow, that's a big
and
one.
Here's me. So, the story is through daughters.
Yes.
So why worry about not having a son? My family has a tradition of being in industry and also a textile industry.
Yeah.
Silk and then subsequently cotton.
Right. Starting from the great-grandfather.
Yes. Well, because
And here is the
Mo
great-grandfather.
family is from Zhejiang, Shuangling, and they are famous for being silk traders. So he doesn't speak a word of English, but he was trading with the US, so he had a relationship with a trading company. Very impressive. So my grandfather is the one who was the recipient of the Boxer Rebellion Scholarship.
I see.
And he started off at Tsinghua. He was in the younger class. So
Right.
they stayed on for a little while because the war broke out and they couldn't leave. So they ended up being in Tsinghua for an extra year. He was very much influenced by Tsinghua's philosophy, which is a philosophy that we all adhere to. Enterprises build countries or part of the national economy,
Right.
which is also subsequently what I think government leaders are, in fact, have the same philosophy.
Indeed.
So very important.
Wow, so this is like a fashion show.
Yeah.
Back in the 1930s?
1930. History repeats itself. Great Depression in the US and immediately turned to the domestic market. So
Here in
fashion
China,
show,
right.
1930 fashion show.
When the export market didn't work, totally started a new market back at home
With branding.
with branding.
Yes. And they also,
China's own brands.
yes, we're doing exactly the same thing. So we're very good in making good products, but the next is to have brands. And that's key. And I think this is a time when we are going to go back and build our brands.
That's what you're doing right now.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you make as a leading businesswoman of the latest tariff drama?
The recent tariff, I'm very calm. And the reason is, we were already hit in 2020 by the entity list. So to us in the company, we're like, oh, we know that this is going to come. So we're very calm because we were hit early and we've actually had the opportunity to plan a roadmap on how to deal with it. But maybe, so we decided that what we should be doing is to share our story about how to survive and thrive.
I love that. But first of all, tell us more about that entity list.
Okay.
It was such a drama. And that is still going on, by the way.
Yes. It it was a real shock. You know, we have always been so proud of the fact that we treat our workers very well. In fact, I was given an Alumni Achievement Award at both my alma mater and especially at the Harvard Business School because of our focus on
people.
People and the environment. You know, very early on, we made a commitment that our goal would be to minimize our footprint on the environment, which is something that it was an initiative I took on when I was at undergraduate at MIT. And then a focus on people, which is very much influenced by my grandfather and my father, sort of early on implanted that in my mind, that if you're a leader, well, you must remember people follow you. And you must respect them because, and also, if you don't take good care of them, who will follow you? Indeed. So that was our corporate goal.
The textile industry has been an important source of exports since the early days of China's WTO membership. The low labor cost then made it possible. As a popular anecdote went, to cover the cost of buying just one Airbus A380, China would need to make and sell 800 million shirts. Today, China's foreign trade and textile and apparel totaled $322 billion in the year 2024. That was still up 2.5% year on year, according to the number of China customs. Despite pressures of slowing global economic growth, worsening trade barriers, and intertwined geopolitical conflicts to achieve steady growth. It sounds like a miracle, but when you listen to the story of Yang, you know it takes hard work and sometimes the reinvention of oneself to survive and thrive. I mean, you understand decades ago that the cotton coming from Xinjiang are some of the best quality in the world.
Yes.
And you try to make sure there's jobs going to be provided to the local people.
Yes.
By establishing a factory over there, a spinning factory at the very beginning.
Yes.
But then later, it turns into, quote unquote, the mistakes and the crimes, right, apparently, that others accuse you of as a result of geopolitics.
We had to make a decision whether we leave Xinjiang or stay put. Now, fortunately, we are a private company. We feel we could take a stand. We feel very strongly that we have contributed to the local community. This year will be the 30th anniversary of our arriving in Xinjiang. We went for the wrinkle-free fine cotton shirt because Xinjiang has long staple cotton that will allow us to apply nanotechnology so that it will be wrinkle-free but still maintain all the comfort of a cotton shirt. So we went there, and then over the years we worked with a lot of farmers, individual farmers that we collected from. We used to collect from, at the peak, we used to collect from 10,000 farmers for the very good cotton. And when we were there, we worked with the farmers to introduce better irrigation, drip irrigation to be more, saves more water. Yeah. And then we actually, at the time when we went in, when we got the ginning license, we were able to break the monopoly of the cotton and jute company. Used to be a monopoly. You probably remember a period when a lot of IOUs were used.
Right.
And because there's another player it couldn't break that. When we went in, we paid cash. So that whole system was changed. So we feel very strongly that we're a catalyst of change. And we have brought
for the market economy.
Yes. And also, it was kind of an irony that the reason we were using forced labor is because our jobs were really quality jobs. This is, by the way, the factory, the mill that was put on the entity list is a spinning mill, fully air conditioned, highly automated. It's not a garment factory. You know, people think about forced labor. It is still, and today is even more advanced.
So what was it like for you when you were, hit by this news? What went through your mind?
It wasn't being put on the entity list that was the shocking part. Because the entity list, theoretically, it just means that you cannot buy American technology. But the customers, many of the customers, especially their legal department or their risk committee, prevented the buyers from buying from us. So overnight, we lost half our business. Half our business. It was very disappointing because these are customers who have been with us years.
Decades.
Now, decades. There's where I recognize that one of the problems of public companies and the big brands is that they're subject to these external forces even more than we are. We have a European company who actually put on their website a statement to say that they have been dealing with us for years and that they know us. But
good for you, by the way.
Very, very grateful. I mean, this is where you sort of feel that humanities, this is your, geopolitics is one thing, but human relations is another.
But I really want to know, how did you adjust?
We faced the music. It was also COVID time. My team has been fantastic. We let go of 30,000 people, which is very, very tough. But we felt that we should do it because we have to, sooner or later. No point dragging. And a lot of people would drag and just hope that
things would change, and it wouldn't.
Very important to face the music. And then, and also we let them go while we still have the resource to take care of people, because when you have let go of 30,000 people, the severance pay is a lot. Now, we are very fortunate because over the period, the last over 40 years, we have made some money. We never speculated. We've always done, this is again, from my father, from my grandfather. We do not speculate. We have the resource to, because we had an opportunity to make money, we have the resource to tough it out. So then we said, okay, we have to eat. With the 28,000 people remaining, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, we are very lucky. If this happened to us, we didn't have a domestic market. Today, we have a domestic market. In fact, we have some pretty good customers, like Anta, Li Ning, and both companies who are also good friends immediately said, we'll back you. So it was very comforting. Not that it would immediately solve all the problem, but to have people who says, we'll back you, go for it. So the domestic market, and then we have been saying that we would climb the smiley curve. Stan Shi of ASA years ago said that. And we have said for 10 years, I have PowerPoint showing that we've always said we will build our own brand. We will sell technology. That's the new company. But because of corporate inertia, we never took it seriously because it was so easy to sell shirts. We are a very good OEM, and it was so easy to make money. All these other skills, it's tougher because it's new areas. So companies, a successful company builds up inertia. Right. And that's what hit us. So now, with this crisis, wow, that's an opportunity. I've never seen a group of people who have overnight become
so motivated,
agile and motivated. Plus, because we took a stand. We took a stand and said that we have been doing the right thing. Yeah. So we will continue to do the right thing, and we will continue to tell our story. So the energy, the agility. I mean, I've had to call my colleagues and ask them, I thought you said you can't do this before. Oh, boss, we got to eat. Very good incentive. Yeah. And then I called one day and said, do you have any other tricks up your sleeve that we can make some money from? Oh yeah, boss, we have been working on a waterless dyeing technology for 10 years, and we're ready to. I said, how come nobody told me about this before?
Did they answer that question?
Oh, they said, well, we're so busy selling shirts and making money. So, this is like, I said, my goodness, a lot of people have been very supportive of us.
The world's biggest uncertainty might not bring manufacturing jobs back to America, yet it shakes the lives of hundreds of millions elsewhere in the world. How are Chinese businesses taking the hit? More importantly, how are they finding their way out? I have been traveling to China's business and manufacturing hubs, talking to many shop assistants, robot technicians, leading multi-channel network stars, and global textile gurus, amazed at how they are reinventing themselves out of the crisis into new horizons, survive and thrive, preparing for a better world. One can tell Marjorie's excitement when visiting her shops, as a customer and as an observer. Now she is in one of her shirt shops in Shanghai. As it was raining hard outside, so not many customers in the shop, she did take great advantage of that moment and turn it into an impromptu pep talk with the staff.
不过白色的我有很多。
绿的那一件就感觉搭配的没有白的好玩，白
的会
好吗？不，也会好。两件都可以一起戴上吗？老板，您那个白的也该换了。
我白的是多的很呢。
You've been working in this market since 1978.
Yes.
So what do you see is the nature of this market? What are the evolving consumption habits of the Chinese consumers? And where do you think is the potential?
First of all, local governments tend to prop up overcapacity. I mean, one of the reasons for the overcapacity, because they are all afraid to lose employment, which is their only source of income. Land sales and local employment. But I think Liu Shijing wrote a very good piece, which said, let the local government enjoy in the consumption tax. That will give them an incentive. And also, right now, local governments do not have the resource to continue to prop up unprofitable companies. So take the local government out of the picture, let a lot of the excess capacity have to bite the bullet like we did. It's not pleasant, but it has to be done. And then give everyone more a sense of a security. For example, in our industry, we pay social contribution, but I first learned about necessary reforms when I was told that workers don't want us companies to pay social contribution because, for example, they are concerned that they are migrant workers. So if they work in Guangdong and then they go back to another province, they would say, why don't you not pay social contribution and just give me the money? My industry, I think we have moved from employment to quality employment industry. Today, we have another problem, the gig economy. So there's so much talk about employers not being responsible, but there's also, I also read some very good articles where the workers are also saying, look, just give me cash because I don't want. Now, so a lot of reform, our pension system, our social contribution system, all needs rethink so that there was never a gig economy. So it was never planned to service a gig economy. Now we have this. So a lot of necessary improvements as we become more agile. Now this is very tough on government, especially a system like social contribution. Changes in that is difficult, but the economy is changing so fast. So how do you, the employment, total employment is changing very fast, the nature of the employment. We have to move to quality employment. This is the problem that the US faced, is the employment never improve. So we are working very hard. So government has put in money for infrastructure. Right. And so the reason is, and I was very touched by this, the reason is more than just creating employment. It's because the migrant workers have left their old and their young back in province. So the ambition is to bring back employment so that the next generation would not suffer as a result of employment. Mm-hmm. Now, our ambition is creating quality employment. And quality employment will also bring about consumption.
Right. So single market, good market, integrated market, and quality employment. What else?
I think globally, what is missing is trust and respect. So if you can bring that sense of trust and respect all the way to the consumer, that consumer, when they buy that shirt, right, do they feel the trust and respect? That's what we want to do.
Just look at the past 100 years, not only what China went through, but also the twists and turns of relationship between China and the United States, isn't it? Earlier generations' handling of crisis, especially related to these two countries, how is that inspired you or changed your perception, prepared your perception for what is going on now?
Yeah, my grandfather, he's always said that his whole career was, he never had a smooth period to build his career because it was always war. And then, in Shanghai, I always think that we are so fortunate with this trade war. We're so lucky because my grandfathers and his friends who are business leaders, his best friend, one of his best friends, was shot dead in the street as a sign to show that defiance is so.
During the Second World War.
Yeah. So today we are, actually it was prior to, it was still very much economic warfare, but still it was very tough. Today we are all just working very hard to going for market share, and we're all still, the tariff is to try to reduce our market share. So there's still a lot of room for us to maneuver without having to face conflicts. Over this period, there's been so many bridges built. I've actually put together a book at the time of Tsinghua's 100th anniversary and MIT's 150th anniversary called Bridges of Education, where we showcased the lives of 300 people who were part of the scholarship program, who went to MIT, and then subsequently they brought benefits to both countries. And these are bridges that will not be just completely destroyed overnight. And we, who are so fortunate to have had this opportunity, we will continue to build these bridges. On Lean, it is a US initiative, but the main person, the professor, he is coming to Shanghai, right, to share his passion to drive productivity, which is key because sometimes you can't make changes in the macro environment, but there are plenty of, you can squeeze productivity out in a positive way, not by cheating on your workers, not by cheating on the environment, but in a way that not only makes your company more competitive, but is also doing good. And these are skills, and these are skills that will long term. If the U.S., we all believe that, is able to use its technology management ability to have a more inclusive growth, they would not have the anger that is causing the government to look for an outside enemy, and conveniently, it is us. And for us, if we can raise productivity, that will also bring up our consumer market. Also, for us to have more distributed or inclusive growth. That's the key. So there's plenty that we can do. The tariff argument will go on. Our governments will all do their best for their own people. Again, local optimization. But we must think of system optimization, which also includes the whole world, because we also have climate change. That is, unless we do something about it, we're all going to end up being very poor.
How do you think eventually these ideas are going to rally the crowd instead of the old tricks of geopolitics?
Well, the first thing is that Esquel must survive and thrive because we are banking so much of our success on this theory. Right. Once I did a class at both HBS and Stanford, and the general consensus is, we really like what you say, but can you make money?
Yeah.
So it is critical that Esquel survive and thrive. And we also have like platforms like Integral in Guilin, where we're featuring what we want to do. We have our brands. But the key, at the end of the day, people are only going to buy in if we can survive and thrive. And that would be a signal for others to say that, I'm convinced.
Go ahead and do the right thing.
Yes.
Eventually, the boat will be able to find the right direction.
Yes.
So good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the story of Yang. A shirt, a woman, a family history, and an inspiring story of how the Chinese are turning challenges into opportunities for their businesses and for a better future of many. I'm Tian Wei. Thanks for being with me. I'll see you next time on Survive and Thrive.